Hey there guys, it's DigitalSzechuan here, and we've got a Kickstarter unboxing to do today. This time around, it's brought to us by Podo Labs. It's the Podo, the world's first stick-and-shoot camera, the sequel edition, which basically means it's the second one that they've come out with. They had a nice first successful Kickstarter campaign, and they had a second one that ran not too long ago, but this is the product of their campaign there. Nice small little tin packaging. Like I said, as the name suggests, it's a stick and shoot camera. It works with your phone through an app, and it's a nice, pretty nifty little thing. We're gonna be opening this up. It's gonna be a pretty quick unboxing portion, and then I'll probably get into a little bit of a testing and review once I, get to fiddle around with it for a day or two. So we're gonna open this up first. I'll show you the camera, and then, like I said, we'll go into some reviews, some thoughts, whatever have you. Let's pop this tin open. Now, one little thing I did want to note before kind of going into it is I ended up actually picking two of them up just so I could test out the multi-camera kind of feature. You can have two of them actually synced up at once, so you can have two different angles or views or feeds or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so I'm gonna test that out. That's gonna be pretty cool. Now, one thing I was a little disappointed about, it's not a big deal. I don't really care as long as it's not damaged or not unfunctional. But there's a little tiny dent, which I don't know if you can really see on the camera. It's very, it's not a big deal, but there was a tiny dent on there, and there's a couple like smaller, dents on the top hand of the tin. So I'm assuming it got a little beat up on the way here. So as long as it works, I don't really care. But yeah, we'll open that up and yeah, first thing is, we got the tin off there. I'm losing my voice. Yeah, we got the quick start, guide there, flippity flew real quick, but basically, let's get started. Just flip. It's pretty small. It's pretty simple. I'm sure it gives you the gist of it. But the real big deal is the camera. Now, it's not a big deal because it's pretty small, but it is a big deal. There's no buttons or anything on the camera. It's just as is. There's a few LEDs around the side there, as far as I remember, and there's a little sticky pad that's on the back that flips out. You just stick it on whatever you want, as long as it sticks properly and doesn't muck it up. But otherwise, you got that micro USB connection for charging it up, and that's pretty much the gist of it. The camera's nice, simple. It's a nice blue. If you care about all the specs, I'll get into it a little bit later. But yeah, no, it's a nice little camera. I wish there was color options, because the first campaign they had color options, but they just have the blue. I don't mind. It's a nice shade of blue. But yeah, other than that, I'm assuming the only other thing, there's not much going on in this box. It's pretty simple. It's just a micro USB cable. If I don't end up using it, I might use this as a tea tin. I don't know. It's a nice, it very much so feels like a tea tin. But yeah, I'll pop that in there. But otherwise, that's pretty much the gist of the unboxing portion. The real big thing we're going to get into is, like I said, I'm going to test it out. Going to sync it up with my phone here, and we'll test it out, show you some picture quality, some video quality, stuff like that. And we'll kind of go from there. So let's jump into that. So I had some time to charge it up, play around with it for an hour or so. So I'll get into my reviews or thoughts or whatever you want to call it in a sec here. Before I do, though, I did forget one little thing on the unboxing side of things. I did also get, now these as an add-on. It's basically just a little bumper case with a little nice strap there and just a little case to kind of house it in. I only got one set for one camera, because I feel for the most part I'm only going to use the one and not the multi portion of it for the most part. I did also order the waterproof casings for it as well, which unfortunately didn't come with this shipment. I gotta wait a while for the second shipment probably to get them, so it's probably not till March or something like that. We'll probably test out some underwater stuff in the future if I remember to do that, or if you guys care to see that. It's very similar to the GoPro casing. It's just a like a plastic housing for it to snap it in there and keep water from getting in there. So we'll test it out probably in the future. Otherwise, like I said, I'll get into my thoughts and whatnot, and I'll show some test pictures and video and whatnot in a sec. But overall, it was a pretty enjoyable test run. It works pretty well for the most part. I'll get into, like I said, the nitty-gritty gripes and whatnot in a sec, but overall I think there's definitely room for improvement, especially on the app side of things. But as far as the camera is concerned, it works pretty gosh darn well, especially for the price. There's other cameras out there that are similar in fashion, but it's really got a niche kind kind of used to it. So for like I said, for its price that I got it for getting both of them, it's pretty good for what it does. So I'm pretty happy with it. But like I said, I'm hoping that they continue to kind of update the app and get kind of all the bugs sorted out, because there's definitely, like I said, it's understandable that just, it's starting to ship out now. There's definitely some stuff that needs to be worked on. The App Store on iOS in particular, I don't think the actual app is out yet. So if you got a Podo and you have an Apple product, you'd have, I think, as far as the last update, you actually have to email them to get like a preview build or something like that, because it's not officially up. So I don't really know, especially on that. I'm Android on my phone anyways, so we're good to go for the most part. So yeah, let's get into some of the kind of good thing, bad things. We'll kind of jump around on good and bad. The good news is, like I said, the camera quality is pretty good. Before I get into that, actually, I'll give you the technical specs if you guys care. But otherwise, you can just tune yourself out. But the two big things that they kind of changed on this iteration versus the previous one, I think they made a bigger sensor on it, but they lowered the megapixel count from 8 to 5 as far as I remember. But otherwise, a bigger, kind of more wide angle view on it. So as far as the general technical specs for anybody who cares, it's got a 5 megapixel sensor, 720p video at 30 frames, 90-degree wide angle lens, whatever. It's got 8 gigs of internal memory, and otherwise some LEDs on the front there. Uses Bluetooth, and it's got an accelerometer so it can change the orientation from portrait, landscape, all that type of stuff. And a rechargeable battery, uses micro USB, blah blah blah. It's got 1.5 hours of video time on the battery, at least according to their technical specs. But probably, obviously, a lot more on the photos. So that's all the technical jargon out of the way. But like I said, just to give you a more practical idea before I jump into showing you some picture examples, it basically is about the same quality as probably, I would say, my front-facing camera, because it is pretty similar as far as the technical specs are concerned. I have an S6 if you want to know, or if you have an iPhone, I'd say pretty similar in fashion to the front-facing iPhone camera. Not quite as fancy-dancy as the back ones, or if you have a fancier phone or a fancier camera, not quite as nice. But like I said, for the price, works pretty gosh darn well. I'd say cell phone cameras are pretty good nowadays, if you don't need anything too high end. So just to give you an idea, let's take a look at some pictures that I took on here. Basically, just to give you an idea of the picture quality, as you can see, as I'm talking, and it's overlaying on top of here, hopefully if I edit it correctly. But yeah, as you can see, the pictures, kind of going through them. Some of these are in time-lapse as well, so you can actually just put a time-lapse or a photo booth mode as well. You could just basically set it to take pictures in little intervals, and then, similar to, like I said, a photo booth that you would, that are kind of extinct at this point nowadays, but it looks pretty good. All things considered, like I said, it works pretty well. The one thing I'll mention, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Again, this will be a recurring theme as far as what I'm talking about. The good thing is, like I said, the picture quality looks pretty good for what it's worth. You do need pretty decent lighting, I'll say, to get it. Now, you can actually change the kind of contrast on it, so it does kind of make up for any kind of lower lighting situations. But the preview on the phone makes it look like, I'm not gonna say it's crap, but it doesn't look great. It's very grainy on the phone preview, which is understandable. But initially, when I first booted it up, I was like, man, this is gonna look awful. But it does turn out pretty well. So it's just, you can't really trust the preview screen too well as far as how it's going to turn out, especially if you're moving around. Doesn't take that into consideration all too well. But like I said, if you got good lighting, if you got, everything kind of lined up, it works pretty gosh darn well. Otherwise, we'll talk about the video in a sec. One other thing that I will mention just as a gripe here is the app actually crashed on me a couple of times. When I was trying to pair up with one of the two cameras, it's for some reason kept crashing. And this was midway through. It was working fine with that one particular camera. I was using, I was using one specifically for just everything, and the other one was just sitting around doing nothing. But for some reason, midway through, it just started crashing every time I tried pairing up with, you know, the one camera, and then I had to switch over and use the other one. So that was a little strange. I have to look into it a little bit more. Like I said, it's expected that there's going to be some issues, especially with the app side of things, which hopefully they'll update over time. But yeah, I'm very curious on. It was working fine, and then it just started crashing just with one of the cameras for some unknown reason. Another good thing, bad thing side of things. Now I think there's more good than bad. But basically, the sticky pad, I had it stuck on my desk to do some of the test pictures and stuff like that, and it's stuck really well. It's a glass top desk, and it was hard to actually peel it off. Now I don't know, it looks fine, but after I peeled it off, it looked really warped and stuff on the sticky pad. It looked really weird, but you know, after a little bit, it turns out fine, as the case with most adhesive strip stuff. But yeah, it's good thing is it sticks really well, so if you don't want it to fall off or anything like that off a wall, you're good. It's expected because it's brand new, but otherwise, the bad side of things is it was really hard to get off. If I'm in a rush, you know, I need to rip that off. I'm worried about potentially breaking or flinging it crazy, but over time, I think it'll be fine. So that's like a really tiny gripe, but I don't even think it's really, you know, I don't think it counts as a gripe really. But otherwise, a couple other things as far as my test thing. Now, one other thing that I'll get into before I show you some video, just the test video I recorded for this, is the audio and the video files in particular are separate now, just based off of kind of my test and just the technical specs. There's no, as far as I can tell, now I can be proven wrong, there's no built-in microphone on these guys here. It's all camera. It's all picture, video. Your audio in particular is more or less going to be coming off your phone. Now, with that in particular, it makes it very kind of cumbersome, because when you want to send pictures and stuff like that, it works great. All you got to do is, you take your video, you take your picture, or in this case, you take your picture on the phone, and then you upload it from here to your phone, goes into your gallery, goes into your photos, whatever. It works pretty well. It works pretty quickly. For video in particular, it saves it specifically on the Podo. So you actually have to plug your Podo into a computer and basically copy it over from there, and that's only the video file. So when you go and view it, it's all mute. The audio in particular, now you can do it kind of one of two ways. The default is more or less it saves the audio file directly onto your phone, so you can access it that way. They also, right after you click stop on recording, it gives you the option to email yourself the audio clip. So basically, you gotta mush the two together, and then you got it. But to do that, you gotta do a little bit of editing, I guess, to a degree, just to get the two synced up. So it's not the most enjoyable way to do the video side of things. So I think the Podo is more for your picture-based ventures, I guess, to put it one way. So I'm a little disappointed about how the video side of things is kind of handled, because you got to do a lot of work just to get it basically up and running, and shareable at that point. So it's not the most enjoyable experience to do the video side of things. Otherwise, one thing that I couldn't get running, now that it might just be me, I don't know, gotta probably fiddle around with it a little bit more. For some reason, I couldn't seem to get the multicam stuff to work. I got them eventually paired up. For some reason, for a while, they just wouldn't pair up. Now, it might have been an issue with why I was crashing with one particular camera, but for some reason, I got them both synced. The LEDs were showing and all that type of stuff. And for some reason, now I don't know, I need to look, like I said, I need to look into it, so it might be my own ignorance on this, is there's only one preview on there, and as far as I remember, some of the video portion of the Kickstarter video, I think they had multiple feeds kind of going on the screen, but for some reason when I took the picture, it didn't actually save anywhere when I had both of them synced up, so I need to play around with that a little bit more. But that thing in particular, I couldn't get it to work. So I can't really give you an idea of how the multicam stuff will go. But you can only do picture, video, and I think a time lapse. But if I remember just off the top of my head, there's only 3 out of the 5 features that you can actually use while it's in multicam mode. There's a couple of things like photo booth I think is negated. But yeah, I don't know. If it starts working, I think it's gonna be a really fun concept. That's a big reason why I got the 2, so I can do, you know, some crazy different angle stuff. It could go. I think it pairs up to 8 different cameras too. So if you got a whole bunch laying around, or if you know if you have friends that have them, you can have some pretty cool stuff going on. But yeah, I'm a little disappointed I couldn't really test that out. Otherwise, though, like I said, pairing it up was really easy. It's just Bluetooth. You tap it, and you'd want to do it through the app probably instead of just going through your Bluetooth in particular. So that's one thing. There's also a timer mode just on the app there as well. You can change the contrast and whatever. And yeah, other than that though, I think that's kind of all I got to say for the time being. Like I said, my big pros and cons, just to kind of sum it all up, because I don't want this video to get too long, is basically the pros. The camera itself is especially for its price. It's a nice little camera. Like I said, if you want to set it up for little group shots and stuff like that, it works really well. Better than having to hold your selfies and selfie sticks and shit like that. This is a nice alternative to the selfie stick. Obviously more expensive, but whatever. It's still pretty cheap for what I got it for 2 cameras. For what it does and the actual quality of it works pretty well. Sticky pad, another big pro. It sticks real well. We'll have to see over time how well it works. Just gotta keep maintaining it. Otherwise, the app, relatively easy to use. Obviously ran into a couple of issues there, but that's a nice segue into some of the cons. Just the app definitely needs some improvement here and there, which I'll expect once they start rolling the second shipment out. I'm sure by then they'll have a lot of the app stuff kind of figured out, and I'm sure they'll be updating it for a little while there, because they've already had a first iteration of it as well. Otherwise, like I said, the crashing issue was a little bit of a disappointment, and just getting them all paired up, definitely, it might be more of a thing that I need to kind of work on, so that might be more of an adventure for myself. But otherwise, like I said, overall, I'm pretty satisfied with the actual camera. I'm gonna test out, like I said, probably in the future, just trying to get that multicam stuff to work. And if I can get it to work sometime soon, I will do a quick little, just upload a quick little thing that I used with it if I do video with it. But otherwise, actually, I forgot to throw it in here, but in just a sec I'll throw up the test video to give you an idea of the quality side of things. But otherwise, like I said, overall pretty satisfied with it. Once they start kind of rolling it out to non-backers, which I think you can actually pre-order right now off of I think it's Indiegogo. Actually, they have it on demand. If I remember, they might not. They might have it on their website, but I'll put up a link after if I can figure that out. But otherwise, like I said, it's a pretty nice camera. I got it for I think it's about $100 or so for the 2. For the Kickstarter pricing is going to be more expensive probably when it hits retail. But for 2 cameras for that price, it was pretty good. I was a little bit expecting it to come a little sooner for like Christmas delivery. Obviously, I didn't make it quite in time. It's a few weeks down into January. But I don't really care. I'm pretty patient on most Kickstarter stuff. But yeah, otherwise, I will stop talking. I'll show you the test video, and then we'll be all good to go. So if you enjoyed what you saw, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I don't really care, whatever, all that type of stuff. But go check out Podo. Once they start rolling out, if you like what you saw as far as the picture and the videos, like I said, it works pretty well. Then go check them out. I will sign off. Here's the test video. I will see you in the next video. Peace out for now. Go check out. Hey, so I think it's recording here. So I'm just doing a quick little test video for the video side of things on the Podo here. Now I'm gonna swing this over just to give you a quick idea of what the app looks like. Just while it's running, so some photoception going on here. You can see the previous screen, and it just keeps going on. But basically, everything's going to be controlled off the phone here. So like I said, I can see what I'm recording. I can stop it whenever I want. Now, one thing I did want to mention quickly, just while I'm recording this, I'll get more into it when I go back to my computer here. But the audio in particular is, from what I can tell, from what I can, just based off some previous little tests,
is the audio and the video are actually separate. So the Podo does the video, but my phone does the audio side of things, so it takes it off my mic, because I don't see any mention of a built-in microphone on the camera, the Podo here. So like if I move my phone a little further away, maybe you'll hear a bit of a a volume decrease or something like that, and I move it back in, and maybe it sounds a little louder and more normal. I don't really know. But that's one thing I did want to mention real quick there, is the audio and the video are actually two separate files. I'll get into it a little bit more in depth once I jump out, but it's a little bit, like I said, of a disappointment there. It's just a little more cumbersome. But yeah, just now that I'm done talking, I'll switch back over. But this, just to give you a preview of the video here, it doesn't actually work too bad. But just a couple of little gripes here and there, which I'll get into in a sec. But let's head back.
I had one last little thing to gripe about while I was uploading the stuff to edit the video. Basically, I had one last little thing to kind of gripe about. Unfortunately, just I want to plug it in here real quick. I just kind of thought about it while I was getting everything ready for the video to edit and stuff. But just the names of the files on the Podo itself, when I went to upload them to my computer, they're all the same. So I kept running into the issue where, do you want to replace these files? So I'm just one little other thing I wish they could hopefully change is just it does it in order by number, but even when I go into time lapse or whatever else, they're the same name, even though it's a different way of taking the picture. So I'm hoping they change that, so it just makes it easier to kind of upload and stuff like that. So that's one last little thing I want to plug in there. Otherwise, I'm done. I'm gone. Peace out. One last quick little thing I wanted to plug in here real quick is there's a solo mode on the Podo as well. It works really, really well, actually, so I just wanted to kind of plug this in here quickly. So basically, just pairing it up to solo mode right now. So basically it works independent from your phone. You don't have to have it all synced up and clicking and stuff. Just double tap on the Podo. You just saw it blink hopefully in the video. I'll do it one more time quickly. And just took a picture. Now it only does it in photos, or only does photos in solo mode, but the video, like I said, adds a few gripes with it anyways. It works really well. All you gotta do is just do that, pair it back up to your phone, and it uploads it right to your phone gallery. So it works really, really well, and it syncs it up really quickly as well. So I just wanted to plug that in real quick. One other thing, just because I've had some time since recording from this morning. Sorry my voice sounds a little weird at this point, but I had a long day. I got the crashing stuff to kind of get fixed up. I just had to do a lot of kind of restarting on my phone, the app, unpairing everything, and yeah, I got that one Podo to start connecting again. Still haven't gotten the multicam stuff to work, so unfortunately I can't really say too much on that on the review, other than having some troubles getting it to go. So that'll have to be saved for another time. But just to reiterate, after a long video already, just the camera itself works really well. Just like I said, the app does still need some work on it, but solo mode, like I said, I really needed to touch on that because it works really well. But otherwise, the camera quality, even in solo mode, works the same way because it's the same camera and everything else. But yeah, otherwise, now I'm done. I will leave you guys alone, and like I said, I'll probably touch base on this a little bit more once I get to the underwater or the waterproof casing, as well as when I get that multicam stuff to work. So I'll kind of show that off once hopefully I get it up and running. So I just want to plug that in quickly, and now I'm done. Now I'm gone. You guys can enjoy the rest of your day. So thanks again for watching, and peace out.